Fitzpatrick, you okay with the question? You want to be read?
No, I've got the question, Carlo, and I'll address it directly. 3 items. Number 1, Congress should not be exempt from any law passed in this country. None of them. Number 2, my family, I don't take the Congressional Health Care Plan. My wife and I, we obtain our health care in the private sector. We pay our co-pays and our family share like everybody else in this community. And we chose to do that because understanding that health care is a big issue, and I'm going to be part of that debate. I'm going to be casting votes on your behalf, and I want you to understand and believe I'm doing what I believe is in the best interest of this community in Pennsylvania. Number 3, I support the consumer protection provisions of the Affordable Care Act, and I think we need to secure them and continue them. But I do not support the majority of the Affordable Care Act, which has been referred to as Obamacare in question here, because as I speak to families throughout this district, and I speak to small businesses, it was a well-designed, well-intentioned law that is hurting businesses' ability to grow and create jobs. Actually, it hurts the very people it was intended to help. I'll give you a couple of examples. 20-plus tax increases in the bill. New taxes on income, taxes on dividends, taxes on capital gains, taxes on medical devices, which is something we need to be concerned about in Pennsylvania, and specifically in Bucks County, because we have many, many manufacturers of medical devices who do a great job. But those jobs, we will lose those jobs because of the taxes in Obamacare. The Independent Payment Advisory Board, which the physicians of Bucks County are terrified of, is an unelected, unaccountable group of 15 individuals who will reduce payments to doctors and reduce benefits to senior citizens in this community. Even the scrivener of the bill wanted to repeal that piece.
Thank you.
And the reason that happens is people pass the bill without reading it, and that has to stop.
Thank you. I'm going to pass over to Linda Mather. She'll start with the legal and further questions.
Fitzpatrick, you get us started on this one. Do you support the Disclose Act, which brings transparency to independent spending in political campaigns?
I support transparency in campaign finance, and as a matter of fact, I support, and I'll go through my campaign finance reform plan, which I think actually makes sense, and I would hope my opponent, if she agrees with me, would help, regardless of the outcome of this election, that we would go forward together and support this particular plan. I do not support pieces of legislation that are partisan in nature, that go after small business or go after unions and don't try to enact transparency and fairness across the board. And that was a concern that I had with the Disclose Act specifically. Every time the United States Congress attempts, and again I'll say just like in healthcare, well-intentioned legislators attempt campaign finance reform, things get more complicated. I'll give you an example. When McCain-Feingold was passed, John McCain and Russell Feingold, a Democrat Republican, intending to take soft money out of politics, we ended up with 527 organizations. Today we have super PACs, and I can understand, being the victim of the only super PAC involved in this race, which is San Francisco funded here in Bucks County, we want to do away with the organizations that will come in from out of the district to try to control our election process. My reform is this. Individuals can only contribute to candidates that they can vote for. That would eliminate all out-of-district and all out-of-state contributions, and would eliminate PACs because PACs can't vote.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you. I absolutely support every opportunity we have to increase transparency, to move towards more campaign finance reform. Congressman, to say that you are the victim of the only super PAC to be involved in this race, first of all, you have accepted over $1 million in special interest money in this race. Another $1 million has been poured in on your behalf from your over $1 million from your party, from special interests, putting out what the intelligentsia call one of the nastiest, lowest campaigns they've ever seen in this district. I think the Disclose Act, though a good start, is not nearly enough. I think Citizens United is probably the worst, one of the worst Supreme Court decisions we've ever seen. It has taken away the voices of individuals and drowned them out by the voices of super PACs. So though I support disclosing and transparency and all that, it's only one step. I would look for a constitutional amendment, and maybe you're going to get to a question on Citizens United. But look, we need to make sure that the voices of individuals are heard in our election.